The stage is quiet, the kind of quiet that feels alive, as if the air itself is waiting for something extraordinary to happen. In that silence stands a young singer, centered beneath the lights, wrapped in the kind of nervous energy that only comes before a defining moment. Their hands tremble slightly, their breathing is uneven, but their eyes hold something stronger, a determination that wasn't born overnight, but built across years of trying, failing, rising, believing, and trying again. This moment isn't an accident. It's the result of courage stacked upon courage, until the weight became enough to push them onto this stage. Most people never experience a moment like this, not because they aren't capable, but because fear convinces them they're not ready. Fear whispers that you should wait until you're perfect, wait until you're certain, wait until you've earned the right to be bold. But real greatness doesn't wait. Real greatness shows up when you're shaking, when the future is unclear, when the outcome is unknown. And that's exactly what this singer is doing, showing up anyway. The audience watches, mesmerized, sensing that something special is about to unfold. The judges lean in, adjusting themselves in their chairs, caught between curiosity and surprise. The singer closes their eyes for half a second, gathering the calm that lives beneath the panic, finding that small but steady voice inside that says, "Go. This is your time." Then the music begins, and with it, the first note leaves their lips. It isn't just beautiful, it's powerful. It's the kind of note that stops people in their tracks, not because it's technically perfect, but because it carries truth. A raw, unfiltered truth that comes from someone who has lived through doubt, through rejection, through every reason to quit, and still chose to rise. The note stretches out into the air, filling the room, shifting the atmosphere. The audience leans forward. Every person in that building feels something unexpected, a spark. This voice, this moment, isn't about talent alone. It's about possibility. It's about what happens when a human being decides to stop shrinking themselves to fit inside the limits others created for them. It's about stepping toward your future, even when your legs feel weak. And as the singer continues, hitting note after note with increasing strength, something becomes clear. They aren't just performing. They are proving something to themselves, to the world, to every single person who ever doubted whether they were enough. This is what courage looks like in real time. It's messy, emotional, unpolished, but it's also transformative. The singer's voice grows, climbs, expands with every breath, and the room becomes electric. You can feel hearts beating faster. You can feel minds opening. You can feel that old belief returning. The belief that greatness is not reserved for the chosen few. It exists within anyone brave enough to claim it. For the audience watching across the United States, this moment reaches far beyond entertainment. It becomes a reminder that your potential doesn't disappear just because you've been told no. Your dreams don't lose value just because they haven't happened yet. Your voice, your gift, your purpose, none of it fades unless you let it. What this singer embodies is something every person in America needs to remember. Your breakthrough begins the moment you stop waiting for permission. The moment you choose progress instead of perfection. The moment you decide that your fears don't get to make your decisions anymore. As the final notes echo through the hall, the silence that follows is different from the one before. It's fuller, it's filled with meaning, with conviction, with the realization that ordinary people become extraordinary the moment they refuse to quit. And whether the singer wins the show or not, they have already achieved something more powerful. They've awakened something inside everyone watching. This voice isn't asking whether you can handle it. It's asking whether you're ready to rise with it. The final note of the performance hangs in the air like a held breath, and for a heartbeat, Nobody in the room moves. Then, slowly at first, a single person stands. One clap echoes, then another. A ripple spreads across the auditorium as people rise to their feet, drawn upward not by obligation, but by something deeper: respect, awe, and the recognition of a moment that will stay with them long after the lights fade. Within seconds, the entire room is standing, cheering, shouting, celebrating a voice that didn't just sing, but transformed the atmosphere. The judges are stunned. One covers their mouth, another leans forward as if trying to get closer, to absorb more of what just happened. There's a kind of rare silence behind all the noise, a reverence that only appears when something genuine and undeniable has taken place. They exchange looks, not just of admiration, but of disbelief. They know they've just witnessed a moment that doesn't come often, the kind that becomes a landmark on a show like this. But the real story isn't the applause. It isn't the shock on the judges' faces or the eruption of the crowd. It's the look on the singer's face, the disbelief, the relief, the raw emotion that pours out as their shoulders fall and their eyes fill with tears. Because they know what it took to get here, the late nights, the almost quittings, the moments of feeling invisible, the years of dreaming quietly because dreaming loudly felt too dangerous. And now, the world is standing for them. The narrator's voice cuts through with clarity, reminding the audience watching at home in the United States why moments like this matter. People watch talent shows not just for entertainment, but for the spark of recognition, because at some level, we all want proof that determination still has power. We want to believe that effort still matters, that the world hasn't completely turned into a place where only the lucky rise. We want evidence that ordinary people can still break barriers. This singer, this performance becomes that proof. Success, the narrator explains, has never belonged to the lucky. It belongs to the relentless, to the stubborn, to the people who decide that setbacks aren't stop signs. And as the camera moves across the crowd, capturing faces full of emotion, it becomes almost impossible not to feel energized. You can sense that audience members are not just cheering for the singer. They are cheering for what the singer represents. The possibility that you, too, might rise if you take your shot. For the American viewers, this moment speaks loudly. The singer comes from a small town in Ireland, from a background that may not have promised fame or recognition. Yet here they are, their voice echoing through a global stage, forcing the world to pay attention. It's a reminder that the path to your dream doesn't require approval from anyone else. It requires courage, that's it. Courage to stand up when you'd rather shrink. Courage to try again when failure feels humiliating. Courage to believe that your story is not done yet. The singer wipes their tears as the applause continues, still rising, still growing. For a moment, they look overwhelmed, not by the noise, but by the realization that everything they feared wasn't true. They were enough, they always were. And now, the narrator directs the message straight to the American audience. If this singer can rise from humble beginnings to a stage that broadcasts across continents, what excuse is left for the rest of us? You don't need the perfect start. You don't need the perfect plan. You don't need anyone else to believe in you first. You just need to begin. The performer stands in the glow of the lights, trembling but triumphant, and the message becomes unmistakable. Greatness isn't a mystery, it's a decision. And anyone watching, anywhere in America, is one decision away from their own moment of standing applause. The applause finally settles, but the energy in the room refuses to fade. It lingers like a current, alive and pulsing, as the lights shift and the camera slowly pulls back to capture the moment in its full magnitude. On screen, the TecNova USA emblem glows with quiet confidence, not overpowering, but present, like a reminder that what the audience just witnessed wasn't just a performance, but an awakening. The narrator's voice emerges again, calm yet powerful, carrying the same strength that fueled the performance itself. This moment wasn't created for spectacle. It wasn't crafted to go viral or engineered to shock. Moments like these exist because they tell the truth about human potential. The truth that greatness is never accidental. The truth that ordinary people, when pushed by purpose and held up by persistence, can create something extraordinary. The singer may not realize it yet, but what just happened on that stage is going to ripple outward, reaching countless people across oceans and borders, and especially across the United States, where millions are hungry for motivation, for inspiration, for something real. The singer steps forward, still shaken by the overwhelming response, and delivers one final sustained note. A note that doesn't just echo in the auditorium, but reverberates through everyone watching. It isn't loud for the sake of loudness. It isn't perfect for the sake of perfection. It is powerful because it comes from a place most people are afraid to go. Vulnerability paired with absolute courage. The kind of courage that says, "This is me, this is my voice, this is my shot." The narrator challenges the audience gently but directly. This is what courage sounds like. This is what resilience looks like. This is what happens when someone chooses to rise instead of retreat. And now the question becomes, what are you going to do with this moment? Are you simply going to watch it, enjoy it, forget it? Or are you going to let it shift something inside you? Too many people in America are living smaller than they were created to live. Not because they lack skill, not because they lack opportunity, but because they underestimate the power of starting. They wait for motivation to appear, for the perfect plan to arrive, for someone else to give them permission. But the truth is simple and unchanging. Your next chapter begins the moment you decide to turn the page. Not when you feel ready, not when the world gives you a sign, when you choose. The singer onstage didn't know how the judges would react. They didn't know if the audience would stand or sit in silence. They didn't know if this performance would become a highlight or a forgotten audition. But they showed up anyway. They took the risk, and that risk opened a door they didn't even know existed. The narrator encourages every viewer to imagine what could happen if they applied the same bravery to their own lives. Imagine what could change if you dared to pursue the dream you've kept tucked away. Imagine the difference you could make if you stopped talking yourself out of the future you want. There is no special magic behind success, only commitment, discipline, and the refusal to quit before the miracle arrives. The singer, still emotional, bows deeply as the applause continues. But the applause is no longer just for them. It is for everyone who has ever fought for something they believe in. For everyone who has dared to dream bigger than their circumstances. For everyone who has decided that fear will not be the final voice in their life. As the lights fade and the moment transitions, the narrator closes with a promise. This is TecNova USA, where talent meets drive, where ordinary people rise, and where your next breakthrough is waiting for you to claim it. The challenge is simple. Stand up, step forward, speak your voice. Somewhere out there, someone is waiting to hear your story next. And it begins when you choose to rise.